In this episode, I'm with Coach Micheal Burt, the GOAT of creating persons of interest.
Never, for the viewer out there, I would tell you from a coach that's coached thousands of people, never underestimate the need to re-enthuse people every day.
Yeah.
The average cat needs it every day.
Yeah.
Be in the business of transforming people's lives. Get out of the transaction business. I believe the reason a person is not taking action on anything is fear and uncertainty. So the question becomes, what overcomes fear? Information. Mm-hmm. When you have more information, it subsides the fear. So part of the follow-up is just feeding you more information. It's like, I think some people have something you can't put in them and you can't take it out of them. Mm-hmm. We could try to explain it all day long. If you just give me the product or service, you're a commodity. You give me the product or service plus your emotional support, you're an asset. Mm-hmm. You give me your product and service plus your emotional support plus access to your network, now you're an advocate.
Everyone wants to be great, but only few actually get there. And I'm on a mission to find out what all the greatest have in common. I've traveled tirelessly to find, sit down, and talk with GOATs, people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what they do. Sales, marketing, advertising, business, podcasts, branding, you name it. The way they do things may be different, but they all seem to see the world the same way. To them, success is not only achievable, but inevitable. And we'll get inside their heads as they share their expertise with me each week. My name's Mike Arce, and this is The GOAT Show. This episode is sponsored by Loud Rumor. If you own a fitness studio, cryotherapy, or massage business, there is no company in the industry better at generating high-quality leads than Loud Rumor. In just the last 2 years, Loud Rumor has worked with nearly 1,000 fitness and wellness companies and won ranking Arizona's Ad Agency of the Year in 2017. Getting more paying members in the door can be tough. Let Loud Rumor do the heavy lifting and get new people in your doors every day. Go to loudrumor.com and learn more. Also sponsored by Agency GSD. Starting a digital agency was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Building it, however, was a lot more challenging than I expected. I always wish someone just gave me a roadmap that I could follow and just let me be a fly on the wall at the successful agencies out there so I could really see how it's done. Agency GSD allows you to do just that. Stop playing small and visit agencygsd.com to learn how to help hundreds of clients get it to 7 figures and be extremely profitable along the way. Again, go to agencygsd.com. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The GOAT Show. And I am here with the GOAT of creating persons of interest, Mr. Coach Micheal Burt. Coach, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, so you know how to create person of interest, which essentially what you said, you said that turns the buyer or the seller into the buyer. Is that right? So really quick, tell me what that means, and then we'll get into like what got you here.
Sure. Many years ago, after I retired from being a women's basketball coach, I started a business, right? And you get this advice: call 100 people a week, chase leads, right? And one day on a napkin, I wrote down, I want to build a business that attracts people to me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to chase, have to manipulate. And I wrote down 3 words: I want to become a person of interest. Mm-hmm. People of interest are attractive to the market. They're dynamic. They ultimately become the buyer versus the seller. Right. Because their value is so strong, there's incoming demand. So we track the number of calls that come into my office of people that want me to do something, mm-hmm. right, versus outbound effort. Because if you have no inbound effort, your person of interest score is low.
So prospects are selling you on taking me as a client.
Yeah, that's ultimately where we all want to go. Now that was when I wrote that book. It was very aspirational. I was young in my career. I was not a person of interest yet, right? It's like I want to become this person of interest, so I can decide how much I charge and who I work with and where I work and where I speak, that kind of thing. So that was one of my most popular books.
Yeah, and you're in town right now in Arizona because you are speaking at an event. It's NextDiva, right?
NextCon, yeah. NextDiva.
Mm-hmm. NextDiva's event, NextCon, yeah, and they're awesome. They're a phone tracking, or it's like a phone tracking system.
Yeah, it's like a sophisticated phone system that companies use if they have multiple employees.
Right.
And for tracking, we actually use the system ourselves for our sales team.
Okay, what are you speaking on today?
Today, they wanted me to speak on the 4 things you got to do every day to really be a monster producer.
What are those 4 things?
Number 1, you got to be calling on new people every day. And it shocks me how
new people, meaning not in your database, not in your pipeline.
The new money can come from current clients that you're selling another product to. It can come from current clients that you're getting referral from. It can come from past clients. It can come from strategic partners, or it can come from direct leads. But you would be shocked, Mike, how many companies I coach that do not have a selling system, that do not have dedicated periods of the day focused on nothing but new money.
Right.
And it blows my mind. So my big thing is you got to do these 4 things every day. You got to call on new money. We call that the hit list. You're calling on new money. You got to be closing people in the pipeline. We call that the farm club. People that have indicated interest that you haven't closed.
Why do you call it farm club?
Just we're farming. We're cultivating. We have a 7-touch system. I wrote about that in my book, $1 Million Follow-Up. Most people do not have a 7-touch system when almost every discipline says it takes 7 to 15 touches to convert a prospect to a client. But most people don't have a 7-touch system.
Right.
Then you got to be loving on new clients. So we try to take our new clients and quickly convert them to net promoters, people that are saying positive things about us. And then we have what's called the top 25. You need to be loving on your biggest clients, your biggest referral sources. And that's where we're trying to get those 5.7 referrals out of every transaction.
Have you ever read the book, The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Micheal?
No, I've read these other book, Profit First, but I haven't read that one.
So I like Profit First. I love Pumpkin Plan.
Okay, good.
And but I think you'll actually get some really good material for your top 25.
Yes.
I think between the material you've already gotten,
yes,
and what he wrote, it's just I've had him on the show, and to me it was. For us, it helped us get some really, really big business. Nice. Great ideas on just really nurturing. So it calls it the pumpkin plan, interesting enough, because basically says growing a normal sized pumpkin versus growing a colossal pumpkin.
Yes.
These ones that win ribbons at like fairs and stuff are very different. And like these ones you get at Walmart for $5, what he basically says is like, you put the seeds down, you water them, you wait for the sun to do its job. If you see some aren't sprouting, then you loosen the soil, you give them extra attention, you do whatever you can. And then with the colossal pumpkins, it's the opposite. You put the seeds down. First, you need a colossal pumpkin seed, right? Because colossal pumpkins distribute colossal pumpkin seeds. And then after that, as soon as you see one sprout, you rip out all the other seeds because you don't want them to steal from this.
Oh, wow.
So basically what they're saying is most people are giving attention to their struggling clients and their struggling employees as well. Yes. And they're spending so much time that their star employees have the most potential and their star clients that have the most potential are actually losing you, and you're losing them, and you're also losing all the opportunities that come with them because colossal pumpkins hang out with colossal pumpkins.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but the strategies along with it, I'm interested in hearing
there
some
is
of
a lot
yours.
of carryover there. I believe in the law of diffusion, and basically law of diffusion says 2.5% of people are innovators, right? 13.5% early adopters. Then you go early majority, late majority, laggards. I have found that to be true, Mike, in everything. So when I speak today to 1,000 people, the law of diffusion tells me that roughly 16% of those people will be interested in my product or service initially.
Right.
Then there's 34% we may have to go 3 to 7 touches. Then there's 34% we may have to go 7 to 15 touches. And then 15% never going to be interested.
Right.
I can move in with those people and they're not buying anything. So the same thing is true of your employees. 16% produce. Same thing is true of when I was a women's basketball coach. I won a championship one year with 6 players.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's go back to that. So when were you a women's basketball?
I spent a decade. From 19 to 31, I was an assistant coach that became the head coach at the second largest high school in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I was doing some really interesting things. I was teaching every player the 7 habits of highly effective people, principles of good to great, 5 dysfunctions of teams, and I was coaching the whole person.
How old were you when you were teaching this?
I was 19 when I was an assistant, and then I became the head coach at 22.
And when did you start implementing these?
As soon as I started.
So at 22, I didn't hear of business books. I didn't know what business books were.
Yeah.
So how did you even get your hands? How old are you now?
43.
43. So you're talking, this was 21 years ago when the internet wasn't really what it is today, where people just get retargeted with books.
That's right.
So how did you even hear about all these books?
Yeah, actually, we didn't talk about personal development much in my family. I was raised by a single mom who was just a worker. She implemented a very high prey drive in me. Very high, go get it. We get up, we don't whine, we don't complain, we don't make excuses. But at 18 years old, I already knew I wanted to be a coach. I was already coaching at an elementary school. And I would go to these clinics if it was free or anywhere I could go to learn something. And one of my mentors was a guy named Don Meyer. He actually won more games than John Wooden. But he was at this obscure school in Nashville, Tennessee called David Lipscomb University, a private Christian school. And this guy was a machine. And he would put these free coaching clinics on for coaches. And there would be 1,000 coaches there. And I'm 18 years old, and I'm going, and everything Don Meyer said, I did. Everything. And he said, if you don't read another book this year, make sure you pick up a copy of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is in 1994.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. So I go pick up a copy of 7 Habits. I'm 18. I didn't understand one thing in that book.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about paradigms, and I thought it was paradigma. Like I'm like, what is this dude talking about? Like character ethic and personality ethic. But I said, man, I know it's good because Don Meyer said to read it. So I read it, and then I read it again, and then I read it again. And I said, if these are habits of successful people, number one, I'm going to practice these 7 habits. Number two, when I become a head coach, I'm going to teach every player these 7 habits.
Right.
And he also introduced me to the whole person theory. And the whole person theory says people are made up of 4 parts: a body, a mind, a heart, and a spirit. Each of those parts produce different needs, different intelligences, different capacities. This has been the one thing that's changed my coaching career.
So body, mind, heart, and spirit. So body, I get that, the physical
Skill.
body.
It represents skill.
Represents skill.
Okay.
Mind.
Knowledge.
Heart.
Passion, drive, intensity.
Spirit, like faith.
Faith, confidence.
Got it.
So when you're looking at your people, like if we went out here and talked to your people right now, and if a person wasn't producing at the level they could produce at, you could diagnose it through that paradigm. And you could say, what is this guy lacking? Is it knowledge? Is it skill? Is it desire? Or is it confidence? What good is it to have knowledge with no desire? What good is it to have skill with no confidence? So when I learned that model, I could diagnose every player I was coaching. I could tap into all 4 parts of their nature. I could really activate the prey drive in them to help them reach their potential, because all 4 parts of their nature are clicking on every cylinder.
When you read this, which one was sticking out for you about yourself?
Probably, I had the drive. It was constantly gaining more knowledge. As a young coach, it was constantly not getting beat down, letting my confidence go, because when you're young, you're trying things and it's not working.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of negativity when you're a head coach.
When you're dealing with most of the people that you coach, what do you think is the number 1 or number 2 thing?
You know, oddly enough, I think it's 3 and 4. I think it's passion. I don't think most people are operating at a very high frequency as it relates to what we refer to as prey drive, instinctual ability to see something, go get it. Most of the environments I go into, the number 1 thing they want me to do for their employees is keep them motivated.
Yeah.
It's like you have a unique environment here. People appear motivated, right? Like you got a good culture, like you got your core values. But most companies, every day it's a fight to try to get them operating at a high frequency. Right. So it's prey drive and confidence would be the 2 that I think are the 2 main things people need. And it doesn't matter if they're 14 years old or 50 years old. They still lack those things.
With body, I feel like body is one of those things that wouldn't lack if the other 3 are in place.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I mean, the only way you can get skill is if you have the passion and the faith in yourself to go learn something in the first place, right? And then if you learn something and then you have the passion to practice it, the body just comes, right?
Yes.
So is the first thing getting the heart right?
Well, think of it this way. If you were low on confidence and you came to me and said, look, I'm low on confidence, the first thing I would tell you to do is get your body right.
Really?
Yes. I would tell you, hire a personal trainer.
But why would I care if I don't have the other parts
Well,
right?
I think they go hand in hand. But if you come to me and you say, look, man, I want to play at a higher frequency, number 1 thing I'm going to tell you is when you feel good about your body, your confidence is going to be higher. You look good, you feel good, right? So I have a personal trainer that I hired full-time on my staff. He works with me every day. And I said, I want to do big things in the world, and I need a person working with me every day. Not some days, not part-time. Like when I wake up and want to work out, or if it's midnight and I want to work out, I want to do that, because that's just how serious I am about being in great shape.
Got it.
Because I got big goals and I need a lot of energy.
What's your big goal right now?
You know, becoming a national and international brand.
Why is that a goal?
Just because I'm driven. Oddly enough, when you look at the activators of prey drive, competition, fear of loss, environment, inspired by others, embarrassment, I am actually most motivated by setting big goals and in pursuit of those goals. I'm not motivated by being number 1, which is odd because I'm a former championship coach.
Right.
I'm more motivated by the process of doing something big. And since I was inspired by Covey early in my life, one of my big goals was to become the next Covey.
Stephen Covey.
Yeah. Become the modern day Covey. You know, he's since passed away. But my point is to impact that many people on the planet, that really drives me. There's something about me activating the prey drive in people and helping them become what they're capable of that really drives me. It's not other things. That's the number one thing for me.
Now, you've gotten to work with some really good brands like Dell, State Farm, a ton of great insurance companies like Keller Williams, Century 21. Big brands have brought you in. You're flying in to speak at a big conference. So when you go in, what would you say is like probably the most common problem that you've got to fix right away? And is it salespeople that you say you help mostly? I know you help everyone, but is it salespeople you help
There's
mostly?
two things we do. We develop the management teams.
So management teams?
Yeah, so let's say that you had 12 managers here and you knew that you couldn't grow this. And if there was too much slippage between your skill set, their skill set, which ultimately trickled down to the frontline employees.
Right.
So people would bring me in to take their current managers, teach them the whole person theory, show them how to activate the drive in their people. And then we have a program called Turn Your Managers into Coaches. So I do that for a lot of companies. Basically grow their management team up. The second thing I do is drive sales. Now, how do I drive sales? I come in with a very specific system, and I'm basically teaching that system. Every day, new money, how we follow up, how we love on our current customers, how we extract referrals out of our client base. And I don't care if it's $1 billion company, I always find a missing structure.
Yeah.
One of those places is missing, and they're like, "Oh, we do a terrible job of service after the sale," or "We do like you work with gyms. Most of them do a terrible job of engagement with their client base or extracting referrals out of their client base."
Terrible at that.
I've been in gyms before, and I'm like, "You never call me, you never check on me. I can miss for 6 weeks, I never hear from you." I wouldn't, if I was coaching that gym, I would never let that happen, right? Because to me, where there's no usage of a product or service, there can be no change. And where there's no change, there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
So there's no referability. And I use the stat 5.7. There should be 5.7 referrals from every truly satisfied person over the lifetime of the consumer.
Right.
So if you're not getting that, I can help you get that.
How do you get, so let's say you own a fitness studio right now. I'm one of your members. I'm one of 350 people in the studio, right?
Yep.
It's group class setting. So, you go in there, there's times, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock classes. You go in, 45-minute workouts, you blast through them, and then you're out, next class comes in, right? So how do you approach me about it? Or how should somebody approach you? How would an owner approach you that would motivate you to give them referrals? 4 to 6 or 5 to 7, whatever you say.
So here's what we do. Let's go back to the law of diffusion. Out of those numbers, if you got 350 members, that's 52.8 of your members that are totally engaged. They love it.
How many?
52.8 out of 350, right? So I wouldn't tell you, Mike, let's focus on 350 because...
Wait, I'm sorry, 52.8% or 52.8?
So if you have 350 members in that gym,
yeah.
If we use the law of diffusion, it tells us that 52.8 of those members...
Okay, not percent.
Are totally on board.
And so how did you get that mass so quick?
Basically, because I use that figure a lot. Because when I'm looking at law of diffusion, if I were coaching you, I would say, look, you're not going to get all 350 of these people. Some of these people are passives. Some of these people come and go. But you got 52 here, Mike, that love you.
Loyalists.
That love this gym. If we engage with them more, could be private social settings, could be events, could be parties. What I want to do is go deeper with you. So what I do is I teach my clients how to have X number of events outside of just the gym. We're going to contact you more. We're going to engage with you more. We may have social functions for you to come to, because there's value to me as a member if I also get introduced to 10 other business guys that go to the gym there, and I could make a couple $100,000 more dollars, right, while going to the gym. So think of it this way: if you just give me the product or service, you're a commodity. You give me the product or service plus your emotional support, you're an asset. You give me your product and service plus your emotional support plus access to your network, now you're an advocate. So I take a famous doctor I coach in Houston, Texas. 31,000 people have gone to him for energy. He's the number one energy guy in the world. That's who I go to. Well, he hired me because his price point is significant, about $10,000 a year, all cash-based business, does not take insurance. And other doctors were coming in saying we could do the same thing for $2,500, right? So he brings me in. The first thing I say is, we can't go after 31,000 people. Let's boil this down to your top 100. Let's have private events at your house for those top 100. Let's do something monthly for those. We're not going to get all of them, right? But I believe out of that, 50 are going to send us 3 more referrals because we're engaging with them more. Now we picked up 150 new people
that are like those people.
Yeah.
So
more engaged. So just think more engagement. I've been a member of gyms. There's been no engagement outside of. It's very transactional.
It is.
And think of people of interest are into transformation. They're not into transaction. Transaction means discard. Means I don't need you anymore. So most gym owners do not think like this. They think bulk and volume, and I get it. There's some coaching programs I have which is volume. But my point is, let's boil it down to the people that love us. Let's engage with those people more, and we're going to get referrals.
Got it. When it comes to, let's go into that though. How would you ask me? Or how should somebody ask you? Yeah.
I'd say, Mike, you're one of our best clients. We love working with you. Mm-hmm. We believe like gravitates toward like. We got big goals to grow this gym. We can't do it without guys like you. So we want to put you in this, what we call top 25 of you're one of our top 25 biggest clients. We're going to offer you other things for you to come to, for you and your wife to come to, social events. I'm going to introduce you to other successful business people that could be valuable for you. Now, you may say I'm not interested, but we have found that most people are very interested.
Yeah, it just gives them exclusivity. It seems cool. And then how do you ask? Because you still haven't asked me for the referral. Though.
I still say, hey, if we've helped you get to a better place in your life and this has been good, who else do we need to be helping? Or Mike, there's probably 5 people in the Phoenix market that we don't know that we need to know. Will you introduce us? I'd like to invite them to come one time for free. Mm-hmm. So we ask. I don't believe in creepy referral questions like, anybody looking for a gym. Like, hey man, we love working with you. I love this one. We believe like gravitate toward like.
Right.
We believe association breeds assimilation.
Got
so
it.
We know if we love working with you, we're going to love working with your friends. No gym has ever asked me that. Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been part of boxing gyms and regular gyms and big gyms.
Nobody's even asked me poorly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just don't ask at all.
So, and there's no engagement. What if I go every day and all of a sudden I miss for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
There's no phone call. Like I would never do that in my coaching program. Like if you were in my program and you miss one class, you're going to get a phone call. Like, Mike, what's going on, man? You okay? Can we help you?
Right.
Like I just believe. I don't only believe in customer service. I really believe in customer engagement.
Yeah. Got it. I love it. When it comes to follow-up, you were talking about that being a big issue. Mm-hmm. Percentages are high. I've seen those stats too. It was like more than 80% of sales are maybe between like the 5th and 12th touch or something like that, but yet less than 84% of salespeople follow up after the 3rd time. Yeah. Or so, it's all different, but generally they all seem to be in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
So how many times do you recommend following up, and then do you have a strategy as far as like what that first call versus 3rd call, 4th call, 5th call, and text, email, whatever? Do you have strategies for all that? Yeah.
Yes. We believe in 2 types of touches, linear and nonlinear. And what I mean by that is a linear touch is a direct hit. And it's a very direct question. Mike, have you seen enough to make a decision? Mm-hmm. Mike, we brought you exactly what you want on a silver platter. What's stopping you from taking action? Mike, it seems like you want to do this, but you're stuck on one thing. It's very direct.
Right.
But you can't come at people like that every time.
Right.
And I live in Tennessee. We're sweet tea and apple pie. And so you can't sell people like that. It's hard. Now, if I'm in Jersey, I was in Boston last week, I can come harder at people.
Yeah.
But my point is, so for every linear, we have 3 nonlinear. I believe the reason a person is not taking action on anything is fear and uncertainty. Fear is an unpleasant emotion created by a belief that something's going to harm me. Because of the fear, I have vacillation, doubt, insecurity. So I'm going back and forth. So the question becomes, what overcomes fear? Information. Mm-hmm. When you have more information, it subsides the fear. So part of the follow-up is just feeding you more information. Mike, let me give you 3 examples of people we work with just like you, and here's the results they had. Mike, let me send you this video that we did. So we cut all these short videos, and we use these hype videos as great follow-up tools. So if you come into our gym or whatever the case may be, my sales team may use these short videos with voiceovers for me. So you're trying to build an affinity. I want you something to trigger, go, man, I like that dude. Like, I want to go and do business with him. So we use video touches, text messages. We tag people in our office where every week by 7 p.m., I get a list of every person that my sales team is working. Their hit list, their farm club, their top 25. Every person in my company has a turn into me what they're going to do to create or manifest this week. Mm-hmm. The reason I need that is because when I'm on the road, I can help them. Like this morning on the way over here, I was helping one of my sales team members close deals because she's put all that information for me. I don't have to go to CRM and get it. She's compiled it. She's turned it in by 7 p.m. on Sunday night. And when I'm on the road, I can just bang on people. And we're following up. So tagging is I'm working them, salesperson's working them, my personal assistant may be working them. We're working. So we really try to be good at follow-up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's interesting too because the information part, the lack of certainty is one of the things. I always say there's 2 reasons people don't buy. They're not the decision maker, the lack of certainty, right? And when it comes to the lack of certainty, it's not necessarily like I'm not certain you're going to work.
Right.
I may think you actually do care, but your system, the studio, this type of fitness doesn't work.
Yes.
Cycling doesn't work, right? Whatever I'm thinking.
Sure.
Or
no, I think both of those are good, but I don't think I work.
That's right.
I don't think my body can do this. I don't think genetically, I think I'm just the person supposed to look like this.
Yes.
Or I think the studio works. I think my body works. I don't think you actually care. I don't know if you're going to be the guy to push me, right? It's always one of those three, I feel like. And so it's a good idea, like being able to send emails, information, texts, which is like videos that proves that, yes, we care. Here's proof of that. Here's videos from members saying stuff. Here's how the studio works. Look at what this fitness has done. And you work. Like, look at people that were very far from goal and look at what they've accomplished. I think those three pieces of information being delivered can definitely elevate certainty. It's pretty cool. And I think that goes for everything. That goes for even what I do with marketing and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Because I think when I'm not taking action on something, I don't have enough information. They haven't presented. And if you study personality styles, my personality style likes options. I like for you to present me options. I don't want like one thing. I want you to give me 3 options. I want you to present it to me auditory versus in an email. Like, so on my staff, when they have a suggestion for me, I say, present it to me.
Right.
Put it auditory, right? And make your case for why you think I should do it and give me at least 3 options here.
Right.
So that's what I'm telling them, sell me. I haven't seen enough to make a decision.
Right.
So you've done a poor job of presenting your concept to me.
Talk to me about sales training. How much training should salespeople go through?
Every day.
And how long should it take?
I think it can take 15 to 20 minutes a day.
15 to 20. That's usually what I say too. So 15 to 20 minutes per day. What's that flow look like? Just walk in, everyone's sitting here.
Okay.
What's the meeting look
Great
like?
question. So, you have an online platform, right?
Yes.
I have an online platform. My team trains every day 6 segments in my online academy.
Okay.
Every day.
How long is each segment?
That's typically 20 to 30 minutes of training per day.
Per day. Not per 6 minutes.
That's right.
Total.
Yeah, they're watching 6 segments, basically 30 minutes a day before they get to work. They don't do it at work.
Okay.
Then we meet at 8:15 in the morning till 9 a.m. every day. Most of that is to re-enthuse them. So I wouldn't consider it just sales training. What I'm really trying to do, Mike, is keep them excited. Never, for the viewer out there, I would tell you from a coach that's coached thousands of people, never underestimate the need to re-enthuse people every day.
Yeah.
The average cat needs it every day.
Yeah, it's true.
So 8:15 to 9 we meet. Most of that is me pouring vision into them, knowledge, skill, desire, confidence. I am teaching. But they're training, and I'm training to a system. So this is a big mistake a lot of people make. When you say you're holding people accountable, I'm going to say, what are you holding them accountable to? So we're going to look at how do they explain their value, how do they work the selling system we have in place, how do they follow up, how do they extract referrals. If they're not selling or hitting their goals, we're going to go straight to that system.
Yeah.
So every day they're training on that. How do we explain our value better? How do we work the selling system? And my selling system means outbound effort, hit list, farm club, top 25, things that initiate sales. How do we present ideas to people? So when they're training over and over and over on those things. It's not just a bunch of random things.
Yeah.
So when a guy on my sales team's not hitting his numbers, I'm like, okay, let's go to the system. Give me your explanation of value, and I may tweak it. Show me how you're working our system. Show me how you're following up, how you build momentum to our close, that kind of thing.
What kind of personality traits do you look for in salespeople?
I'm certified in the DISC.
That's what we use.
And as I've been going through the certification, and as I have gone through the certification, really dug in to really understand it at a deeper level, it has been valuable. But I would tell you, our top salesperson right now is not a high D.
Yeah, neither is ours.
Yeah. So when they tell me it's got to be a high D, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. Like all you want's a bunch of high D's, and you know what I'm saying.
She's a high S and I, which is interesting.
Yes, it is.
It's a very interesting combination.
Yes. So I use those to motivate. I use those to understand people. I use those to quickly ascertain a person. Like I can tell when I'm coaching people, now that I understand different profiles. Oh, this dude's this, and this. Yeah. This is how I'm going to have to deal with him. So it's more of a communication tool for me.
Yeah.
And a motivator for me.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because it's kind of like you ever study jiu-jitsu at all?
No.
So with jiu-jitsu, it's basically like anyone can be good at it.
Yes.
Anyone could be. Your body type and mine are different, right? You've got that bulk. Like you look like you'd be a bench presser or a wrestler. And I'm thin. I got like basketball player body. My legs are like very long. We know this. We talk about this, right? And so But we could be just as good at jiu-jitsu. The only thing is how we fight will be differently.
Right.
So I'm going to use a lot of leg locks.
Right.
I'm going to be using a lot of things where I'm actually like pulling you apart.
Yes.
Whereas for you, you're actually pulling me in.
Right.
And you're squeezing me in. Very, very different.
Yeah.
But both all fall into jiu-jitsu, but we're using different pieces of jiu-jitsu. And I think with sales, it's the same thing. You know, Melanie in our team is not like the other sales guys, right? Like Billy, for instance. Billy's very high I, high C. I'm a high D, high I.
Yeah, me too.
And Melanie, most entrepreneurs are,
Yeah.
And then Melanie's a high I, high S. But how Melanie sells, it's very like, she's really great at the referral game. She's really great at that. And she just builds business. Literally, business comes to her now.
Yeah. So she's become a person of interest.
Yeah. For me, I'm very...
Yeah.
Now, people don't go to me because of the sales piece. They go to me because of the marketing piece, right? The stuff that we do here. But I'm a challenger. So she won't challenge, but I'll challenge.
Yes.
And I'll get the sale because that day. Yeah. She still may get the sale, but it'll be a few days later.
Right.
You know? But she'll close, she hits her numbers.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's just one of those things where you just have to know, okay, this is how that person is. So how do we train that person to optimize their way of being versus making them like this? Because that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. And I think of a sale that I lost not long ago of a guy that's going to come in and be in our 25K and above level, okay? Which is, they're spending a significant amount individually. Yeah. They're going to spend $25,000 on their self. And my personality is to push, challenge, right? Like keep. And then after I went through the profile, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that is not that dude's personality. Yeah. I was just pushing him away. I was scaring him to death. Yeah. He's like, this dude's going to be coaching me, pushing me like this? Yeah. Like I didn't slow down. I just realized afterward, that's where I lost this. He didn't feel comfortable with the guy pushing him like I do. And the interesting thing is my D and my I are in lots of conflict with each other many times. Mm-hmm. So I had a 40 to 60 point variance in my adaptive, in my I, in the work environment. Mm-hmm. So the person was like, why is it like this? And I said, my D is so strong. I want to connect to people. Mm-hmm. Like I understand the value of connection. I understand the value of relationship. But every second I'm connecting, my D is overgoing. You're not making money right now. Mm-hmm. This is not a high value of your time. So I really have to work on that. Yeah. Because you expend an enormous amount of energy when there's that much variance on the test. Yeah. If it's 20 or more points, you're basically expending energy being somebody you're not. Right. So I think that's a good reason to look at that.
Absolutely. And I think everybody does want to be pushed.
Yeah.
I just think everybody has a different pace to it.
Absolutely.
So I have people like McKenna on the team.
Yes.
I've challenged her. I challenge her pretty much every day. Every day I'll like give her a challenging question. She wants to feed me some BS. Like she, like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And then I'll like challenge her. And the next day she's exactly what she didn't think she could be. And then she does it, right? Yeah. But she does it. She likes the challenge. There's some people on the team that take a little longer. Right. They appreciate the challenge, but they're not interested in making a change just yet. They kind of need to go at their own pace, which sometimes their own pace costs them a lot of success.
Well, that's where conflict comes from on the disc, is pace and intensity.
Right.
So all of the conflict that happens is because of that. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about my wife because I push her, and she's a high S, high C, low D, low I.
Yep, mine is too.
And when I pushed my wife to write her first book, actually after I spoke at 10X, at 10X2, I was really excited and it was going good and we were having dinner. And I went on Facebook and I said, I want to congratulate my wife on writing her first book called Living with a Monster. Because she'd been talking about this concept. How do you live with an obsessed person?
Right.
And she's sitting there, we're having fun. And then she's getting all these comments, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. And she's like, did you just volunteer me to write a book? I'm like, yeah, I did, on Facebook. And she's like, why? And I said, because
my wife wouldn't like that either.
I said, because I think you can. And now here's what's interesting, Mike. Now my wife is doing her own women's conferences.
Yeah.
She's got her own book out. She's helping other women.
Well, because she's got to fulfill it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she did. Yeah. So she wrote the book, Living with a Monster. It's about how do you live with an obsessed person? How do we cooperate versus compete? Like how does she not compete with my ambition? It's a really powerful little book, but it's me pushing her. That's right. Like I understand her personality profile. She doesn't want to be pushed.
Yeah.
It just took her a little bit to get there.
Yeah.
Like you're saying.
She wants to be pushed, but you can't be as aggressive.
That's right.
You have to come at it with some questions.
Yes.
Whereas I like to be pushed as hard as possible. I tell my trainer, if I wimp out, call me names.
Yeah.
Like I want to be called, because I hate being called names. If you're going to call me names, because I'm like, and he's like, come on, man, you're being a wuss.
Right.
It's like, all right.
You got it. You got it.
like I'll turn on. I got like a whole nother level. And, but most people don't want to be called names.
And most people don't want to be pushed. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we were talking about this on the plane out here. Most people do not want to go at the pace that I go. Most people don't want to push like I push. And we're trying to get them to want to do that. Now, go back to the DISC. If we DISC profiled every person that come into my coaching program, the I's have a tendency to start it but not finish, right? They get excited and they don't follow through. So if we were personality profiling every person, we could say to a person up front, look, Mike, you have a high I. Here's a characteristic of some I's. They get excited. They're very social, but they don't finish. For you to do what Coach Burt's telling you, we're going to have to work on that, because we don't want you to start and 3 months later want to quit.
Right.
You know.
Do you think DISC comes mainly from genetics or mainly from experiences and upbringing?
I think both. Okay, I've studied human behavior and human nature a lot. I get asked the question, is it nurture, is it nature? I don't know why I'm like I am, other than I know how my mother raised me.
Are you firstborn?
I was firstborn.
So was I.
Yeah, and
were you, McKenna? No.
So when you study birth order, or when you study these things, like I think some people have something you can't put in them and you can't take it out of them. We could try to explain it all day long. But also look at, environmental factors, physiological factors, how what did you learn? What learned behaviors do you have? Like I think about my 7-year-old daughter. What is she, when she watches me go get it and how we push and how we move about the world, and I wasn't exposed to a lot of those things as a kid. It was just hard work and get up and go, and we don't whine and we don't complain.
Right.
So I'm trying to make sure she has that high drive in her, and we don't give her too much stuff. Like Bill Gates told his kids, like, I'm going to give you something, but I'm not giving you all of it.
Yeah.
Most of our money, you're going to have to learn to make your own money.
Yeah, which I think is good.
I do too.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Okay, so if there was one thing that you're most proud of in the book Person of Interest, the one piece where you're like, man, that piece is gold. Yeah. If people understood that one concept, it would change their life. What's the concept? Be
in the transformation business. Whatever business you're in, be in the business of transforming people's lives.
Got it.
Get out of the transaction business. Like I'm in the transformation business. People come to me one way. Maybe they're insecure. Maybe they lack confidence. Maybe they lack structure. Whatever the case, they're not performing to their capacity. And when I see a person that texts me and says, I have 8 times my income since you've been my coach. My net worth was $100,000 when I started coaching. Now it's $1 million. I went from number 46 to number 4 because of you. Like you changed my life.
Right.
Like your structures changed my life. That's the transformation.
So aiming for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, that's what people of interest do. When you're around big time people of interest and you've interviewed, think about how they make you feel when you're around people of interest. Think about how they inspire you.
Absolutely.
You have interviewed some of the top people in the world. I am always in awe when I'm with those people of just how good they are. They're good. Man.
Same here.
They are so good. They're good one-to-one. They're good in groups. They're just... They make you walk out of there and think, man, I can do anything.
I 100%
This dude has
agree.
inspired me.
That's probably my favorite part about hosting this kind of show. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So how can people learn more about you, find you, follow you?
Yeah, sure. Coach Micheal Burt, B-U-R-T.
Okay.
Instagram. Now, I will say this. My mother spelled my name differently than most Michaels. She spelled it M-I-C-H-E-A-L.
Get out of
She
here.
thought
She
the
did
E
that
should
to
be
you?
before the A, right? And I'm like, Mom, could you spell? Like, I know, because you're 16 years old when she had me. And she's like, I always wanted you to be different. Now, I said, but we weren't living in an Instagram world. and because so I had to buy all the domains with both Micheal Burt's. But if you search Coach Micheal Burt, I've got thousands of videos on YouTube. I put out a lot of content. I am a content person that's just pumping it out. I have a podcast called Super Coach and Person of Interest. You were on Person of Interest.
Yes.
Where I interview people of interest. But I have 2 podcasts that are out there. And then we're doing coaching literally all over the world. So.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you get the book and make sure you listen to his podcast. Go check him out. Learned a ton today, man.
Yeah,
thank you so much for dropping into our
absolutely.
office while you're here in Arizona.
Listen, this is an incredible. If you ever get a chance to come here, come and experience this. This is a cool. I get to walk into a lot of offices, and I can tell typically within 5 seconds about the environment.
Yeah.
And I walked in here, man, and you have got a very impressive culture here. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, guys, for everybody watching, listening, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The G.O.A.T Show. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever your favorite place to listen to podcasts might be. And if you really like this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.